All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome live to Expert 35. I'm your host, Gabriel. And as promised, 35 industries, we're going to find an expert from each industry, and we're going to make sure that they show you the challenges, the hardships, and believe it or not, even the opportunities that we're seeing. I'm going to pull up my cheat sheet real quick. We actually have a full schedule coming up. So if you're watching us live next Monday, we're going to have 3 experts in insurance, health insurance, what's happening, what are the trends. Then on Tuesday, 9:35, wine, because of course there's a lot of do's and don'ts about wine. Wednesday, April 22nd, real estate. Should you buy? Should you sell? Is it the right time? We're going to have industry experts and telling you even about refinancing. So join us on Expert 35. If you want to join us further, you can actually text to the number on the screen, text Expert 35, and it'll send you information, or join the channel. Keep us in your list and you're watching. But today, I've got an expert, a nutritionist, Shana Tatum. Thank you for joining us. I know you have firsthand experience in autoimmune. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. I'm really happy to be here and happy to share some information with all the listeners today.
Well, tell us a little bit about you, because this is like firsthand experience, right? You said you have some autoimmune experience and you added, removed. Tell me a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, so I had autoimmune come up and was going to the doctors and really wanted to put me on some heavy medicines that I really questioned the side effects. And so I thought, well, maybe my sleep and my diet and my physical activity and who's all in my life, my community, maybe those things are playing a role in my health. And sure enough, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with diet first, and I really did some research in finding what foods might be inflammatory or be causing some kind of bad response. And so I did a lot of elimination diets so I could determine what some of those foods were that I had sensitivity to. And then I started dialing in my sleep and getting real serious about honoring how much sleep I needed and
Mm-hmm.
daily movement, physical activity. And I became a big meditator because
Wow.
what we'll talk about more is the stress response, how when we're in a fight or flight mode, our immune system has a very hard time doing all the marvelous things that it can do. So when I dialed all those things in and got really focused and targeted, then I saw my health improved, so much so that it inspired me to go back to school and study anatomy and physiology and
Mm-hmm.
biochemistry, figure out what the body does. And I love teaching people about it.
Wow, that's incredible. And you know what? We are kind of going through that. Like, how do we change our schedules? How do we do all these things? Do you think we're in fight or flight mode? I mean, tell me how you see it.
Most definitely. Yes. Even me, I'm feeling it. And even though I have all these tools and I know all this, I've been staying up a little bit later. I've been
Sure.
trying to make sure I exercise every day. So I'm calling on all those other calming resources to put my body more into what we call rest and digest, more of the
Right.
parasympathetic state.
Rest and digest. I like that. But big question. People asking like, well, you need to see people, right? Like, how is the shift? How are you serving your clients? Are you able to do consultations? Like, what's happening? What's next?
Yeah, it's a new revolution. It's just like what we're doing right now. This technology
Mm-hmm.
allows us to see one another and talk, and it's through telehealth platforms. Thankfully, I have been doing some telehealth already, and so I was set up with that platform because I'm licensed in Massachusetts, and I see patients through telehealth up there. And so it was an easy transition for me. But now all of my Texas patients I also see by telehealth. And I just want to assure people that if you have some concerns about telehealth, the system is really easy. Most healthcare providers have easy instructions for you to log in. All of the platforms that your providers will be using are HIPAA secure and will be monitoring your information and make it a safe place for you to be able to communicate your health information.
Right.
And there's still a lot of things that we can see and talk about and do by telehealth. So I do think that's something that's going to change in the future.
For sure. And actually, I've got a Facebook user chiming in. I'm going to read this question to you because it's kind of in that space. Is how can we control our cravings for processed foods and sugars, especially now, everybody's eating.
I am too. It's human nature. We have fear or some anxiety, and we
Hmm.
want to buffer our feelings with food or alcohol or some other choice. Sometimes it's exercise, really at a high level. So first of all, acknowledge that that's a normal human response. But what I'm advising my patients is let's step back and really evaluate what is behind that craving. What
Sure.
is the feeling that you have that you think this, extra bowl of ice cream or popcorn or another glass of wine is really going to soothe for you?
Hmm.
It's normal to feel anxious in this uncertain time. So I really am advising my patients to step back, evaluate, maybe do some reflection or some journaling about those feelings. But if you do engage and have a second serving or do
Right.
something that's kind of calming yourself, just fully be in it, because the more that we beat ourselves up, the more that we have regret and shame, it's bringing that fight or flight response back.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have more stress hormones circulating in the body. And you're like, it's like in Buddhism, we talk about the second arrow, like it's
Right.
injury to insult.
I like be in it, fully be in it. So accept it and be
Totally.
in it. Great, great input. I got another question popping up. And this is from Greg. He's saying, now I'm having to eat at home all the time. I'm not the best cook. What are your tips?
Yeah, well, this is coming from many of my patients too. There are most grocery stores, one thing, have a lot of prepared meals. HEB has some things called simple meals that are already a good protein and some vegetables, so that's a resource. I do have some recipes that I post on my Instagram at
Mm-hmm.
Shana Tatum RD and Facebook, as well as on my website. Using frozen vegetables has just as much nutrition as fresh vegetables, so make sure you employ those, as well as canned vegetables, canned
Mm-hmm.
beans. There's a lot of nutrition that we can get from some of these more pantry staples that maybe we're not used to doing. But later we'll talk about, I have a quick video that we're going to upload that is easy way to cook lentils, carrots, and spinach that doesn't take much time. It's full of fiber, full of good B vitamins and protein. So
Perfect. So we'll put that video in the comments. So check in the comments. We'll put the link to it. If you text expert17 with Shana, you'll get her contact info and you'll actually get access to that video. So that's something we're sending out to all the people in that video. So let's talk now about what do you agree and what do you disagree about all the noise that's out there that's surrounding this?
yeah. Well, I think all of the physical distancing, washing your hands, being very cautious and wearing a mask, I think all of
Mhm.
those prevention methods are important, and we need to continue doing that. Some of the things I'm concerned about that I'm hearing from my patients is wanting to take these high dose supplements to
Mhm.
boost the system. And I'm
Oh, okay.
concerned for a few reasons. One is the sourcing of those supplements. It's hard to know unless you're getting really a pharmaceutical grade or a therapeutic grade professional supplement line that's been tested and reviewed, that the ingredients are really what the label says are in there.
Mhm.
So I would hate for you to be taking a high dose, say, vitamin D supplement, and it may cause more harm than what you're really investing in. So consider the source of where you're getting your supplements. And then, two, you should work with a provider to know the levels of those vitamins and minerals. There's a lot of information on the internet about, oh, take this high dose vitamin C and vitamin A and zinc. And while those things are important, I'd rather teach you how to eat those foods and get those colors of all those fruits and vegetables on your plate rather than loading up on supplements that may not be what they really say they are.
Right.
And it is that may be harmful to you.
This is probably a good time. We'll also put in the comments, but what are some of the resources that that people can, find out better? I mean, obviously you're a resource and people can talk to you, but you're not available 24/7 for everybody. So
Yeah.
what are some of the resources that people can access?
Well, specific to supplements, I do have a guide on my website that kind of
Mm-hmm.
talks through the things you need to look for in a good supplement. So I think that's good basic reading. But the Institute for Functional Medicine
Mm-hmm.
has great resource, some patient education materials about COVID-19 that
Okay.
goes more details about these specific nutraceuticals and botanicals, as well as helping people understand the benefits of sleep, stress, community, and physical activity. So that's a great website, the Institute for Functional Medicine. Um, in Houston, our friends who are at Urban Harvest, they have a drive-through farmers market that you can pre-order vegetables, meat, eggs, pre-made foods, even vegetarian pre-made foods. If you go to their website, you can sign up, pay online, and then on Saturdays you can have pickup there. So if you're not going to the grocery store or you're wanting more local fresh foods, that's an
Mm-hmm.
excellent place to look at. And then all of those other viewers that aren't in Houston, many farmers markets across the country are doing the same thing because it's
And they're
helping
practicing the
support
social distancing, but they're still being safe,
that.
and it's safer because less people touch the food, right? When you go in a farmer's market.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
And lastly, there's a great provider. His name is Chris Kresser, and he has a lot of really good kind of lifestyle medicine tips. He has a Google sheet
Mhm.
that has links to lots of great articles and websites and information that would be good reading, I think, for our viewers.
Perfect. And now this is one of my favorite parts of the show is hey, tell them 3 things they can do right now, right?
Yeah.
What are the actions? We're all in lockdown. We're practicing social distancing. What can we do?
So eat more vegetables. It's my advice is really not that different right now than when I do all my patients every day, but
Mm-hmm.
eat vegetables. Fill your plate half the way through with leafy greens, like all the color of the rainbow, because it's those phytonutrients that are in the plants that provide so much support for the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So vegetables, and we need that fiber because we might be sitting more, we might not be as active, and everybody needs to be regular. So that's important too.
Mm-hmm.
So eating vegetables and fruits. The other thing is that I think it's real important that we reduce our sugar. I know that we have these carbohydrate cravings, and we were talking a minute ago about really wanting to soothe our feelings. But there was a study done last year where they measured someone in the lab consumed 100 grams of sugar, which is really kind of like if
Wow.
you had a one of those iced coffee frappuccinos from the coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
and measured the amount of white blood cells active. It was depressed 50% just 2 hours after consumption.
Wow.
So we're at a time when we really need our immune system to be able to react. And the more we're eating sugar, the harder it is for our immune system to respond.
Right.
And and then my last tip is just hydration. We've got to be drinking water.
You're going
Yeah,
to
that's great, Gabriel. I love it. Water, it is the foundation. You remember from high school chemistry, H2O, two
Mm-hmm.
molecules of hydrogen. Almost every reaction in the body requires hydrogen. And so let's not put it at a deficit right now. We need to be hydrated. Our lymph system, which
Mm-hmm.
it eliminates toxins from the body, needs that fluid to do that. And so making sure that you are keeping up with your water, which can be challenging right now because we're out of our routines.
Right.
So we might have had a routine of carrying our water bottle or a certain, water cooler every day at the office,
Sure.
but be mindful to make sure you get enough fluid every day.
Well, those are super great. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give you one chance to kind of talk a little bit about your 15-minute consultation, right? Anybody can text expert17 to the number that's coming up on the screen. Tell us a little bit about what that entails. I've got your graphic on. I know you can't see it, but
Right.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I offer a 15-minute consultation by phone for anyone that's interested in some nutrition services. So if you're just curious about how I might be able to help you, or if we want to evaluate your diet, or maybe you have some unknown symptoms and you're not really sure, we can do a phone call and kind of talk about it, and I can share with you a little bit more about how I work with the nutrition assessment and all the follow-ups. And that just helps you because I do a very personalized nutrition plan for people, and I want you to feel at ease and have trust with me because I want to walk alongside you to help you in your health journey.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for joining us. It's great having you on Expert 35. I want you back. I know you're going to get us that video. We'll put it in the comments. We'll put those resources in the comments. And man, we had a bunch of people saying you did awesome. Congratulations. Like we see Jenna and Greg. There's a bunch of people jumping on this channel. So, I think the information you give us is so timely, so important. Thank you for being on the channel. Stay safe.
You too. Eat your vegetables, okay?
Eat our vegetables. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us.